So, how have you been?
Quite fine, actually. Um, yeah, I mean, in the last 3 weeks, I had to work more than the usual, but yeah, now my two courses are on holidays, and I have to go to work, but actually, they don't really have anything to do for me. So I basically sit in the office reading things that don't have to do with the job. So it's quite relaxed.
Mm,
And um, yeah, actually, at the moment, there's not really happening so much in my mind. It's kind of a rather calm period. And then yeah, I seem to have like a new hobby. I sometimes go swimming at night, and it has always been something that I wanted to do, but I was a bit frightened by going into the water at night. But then it's really lovely because there are no lights, no lamps, nothing, and you see the Milky Way. There are also this kind of little insects that glow in the night in the bushes. And on Monday, I went and it was like full moon, but I don't know how this comes to be, but it was like a really big one. And there was the light of the moon as reflections in the water, and it was like really lovely. I'm enjoying
okay,
summer.
yeah. So, is that
Yeah.
the ocean you're swimming in?
No, 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 it's a lake.
Lake, yeah, yeah. Mm. Hi, Louise.
And you, how are you doing?
I'm
Morning.
good. Yeah.
I'm good. I'm very, very tired. I just woke up, but I made it.
What time is it there?
6 o'clock.
6
So it's
a.m.
not
or
early, early. It's early for me.
early enough? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, good to see you all. I'm just going to get a
Mm.
coffee while I listen for a little while, just wake up a bit.
Yep.
But I'm
Yeah,
here.
no worries. Yeah. How are you, Tyler?
I'm good. Just work night shift. Pretty tired.
Oh, so you're doing shift work all the time, are you?
No, I'm in the army actually. So it's
Oh, okay. Yeah.
when I'm needed.
When you're called, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, and you said I think last week you asked if I could take the meeting on 7 August, was it?
21st from memory. Let me just check my calendar. Um, yeah, 21st
Oh, all right, never mind.
of August. Yeah. So that's still not a good one. It's a fair way away, so I'm not. I'll find somebody. I'm on my way to Sydney for a procedure in hospital on the 22nd, but they want me there on the 21st.
Is it
So
anything major?
no, no, it's not a major thing. No, it's a radio ablation on my esophagus. So when I was in the Navy many, many, many years ago, I had a hiatus hernia, and that allowed stomach acids to get up into my esophagus, and that's created what they call Barrett's syndrome, which is a precancerous situation. Anyway, they've been taking polyps out for years, and now they've done this radio ablation to try and stop it in its tracks. So I've been having this will be my third one, maybe my last one, maybe not. Well, it depends what they find. Yeah.
Good luck
Oh,
with that.
it's interesting stuff. Yeah. Oh, it's a bugger getting old. I tell you, it's important to look after yourself when you're young. Only an old person will say that, of course. Yeah. Mm. Hello, Sheridan.
Good morning.
Mm. So I don't know if the army these days is different to the navy in the days I were in there, but it was pretty hard to find anybody that was into this kind of. Well, it was impossible to find anybody that was into this kind of stuff back then.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah.
It just feels like one big role-playing game, and everyone's so into their roles, and it's a matter of life and death.
Yeah. And if you're not into going out and getting very drunk and doing stupid things, then you're an odd one out too. Yeah. At least that's the way it was with me. Yeah. Hi, Elliot.
Hi, afternoon. Nice to see you.
Yeah. Well, we've got a few new faces today. That's good. So I'll just tell you that there are no rules at this meetup, and definitely do not wait for permission to talk. Just jump in if you've got something to say. If we end up with two people talking at once, that will sort itself out as well. So don't worry there. Everybody's got something to say, and it's always valid. Yeah. So, Elliot, tell us where you're up to on this so-called journey.
Well, I joined up with LU about 2 weeks ago. And Tyler, I think you can see there, has been guiding me through been doing some fun emotion work and some self-inquiry. After quite a long history of meditation in various contexts without really getting any insights, as it were. So taking the plunge and trying something new and changing it up. And this is probably the first time I've really talked to anyone about awakening who is actually, interested in it. And it's not a thing I'm trying to foist on them and tell them all about what I'm interested in. So it's an interesting change for me.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good trick. Yeah. Well, you're in good hands with Tyler. What I've seen of him so far is that he's very capable. Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Louise? Where are you up to on this journey?
Vince, did you say Louise? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, you're still getting your coffee, eh? I'll wait till you're done. Yeah.
No, I can hear you. It's fine. I didn't hear what you said. Yeah, I came on a few weeks ago. I'm going through the fetters with the awakening clarity now, and it's been quite amazing actually, and that's just doing it by myself. And I just realized, I do have questions. I do need some guidance, and yeah. Sorry, I'm not quite awake yet, so I'm just
no worries. Yeah, that's
up.
fine. Yeah.
But yesterday there was there seemed to be a shift into this or the last few days, a real acceptance into being a human being. I realized there was a pushing away of the humanness, and like even as I'm listening this morning, there's a different way of listening. Like this, as you're asking about the army, and like it's got such a richness, and I'm not pushing it. I can't really describe it. It's just there's a real softness to accepting.
Yeah, I get it.
There's
Yeah.
softness, there's compassion, there's love, understanding, which I've heard all about, but I never felt that. It was all very intellectual. Yeah, so that's just starting to appear.
Right.
Like genuinely like appear. Yeah.
Yeah. That's more than just a mind thing, eh?
yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. And sometimes it something's taken aback by the authenticity of that feeling.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one. That's huge. That is, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I say that partly because it was my portal that I fell through was that acceptance of what
Yeah.
turns up. That's such a big one. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Good one. Yeah.
So I had an example. So last night I went to my son's show, and just as I walked in the room, I'm usually quite well, but my nerve caught on my elbow, and I was in quite a lot of pain. And there was this real observation of getting sucked back into the pain, and then all the layers of thinking about what that meant, and should I go to A&E, and there was and there's a real like watching of that,
Mm.
and that's because I'm not very good with pain. So that, and there was a moment of joy. That's what happened. There was a moment of joy of actually experiencing that.
Mm.
Oh gosh, that sounds really strange, but yeah.
No, I get it. I definitely get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was able to think more clearly, like take some tablets, get an ice pack, just sit and wait,
Yeah.
all those things without all the panic. So yeah.
So you weren't swept
Anyway,
up in
that's where I'm at.
you weren't swept up in a story of that it shouldn't have happened or that it should be different. Yeah, it was just a
Well, it started. No, that started, but then that stopped. Then there was a
saw it.
different
You,
perspective. Yeah,
yeah,
then I saw
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, big one.
Very, very subtle. Very subtle. Yeah.
Yeah, but a huge consequence. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can see
So
how.
that's where I'm at.
So if you got swept up in it, you can see how that can cascade into a whole lot of other things as well. That just
Yeah.
perpetuate the suffering. Yeah, that's big. Yeah. So even if it doesn't work like that next time, you know it's possible. You know the foundation is there. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. And that's been happening each time these experiences. It just improves that conviction. That conviction just grows. That it doesn't have to be that same pattern. That same pattern can change. That was huge. That the patterns can change, and seeing it more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah. And just as you can spiral off into a cascade of negative things, in this case, you can spiral off into a cascade of positive things. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you said earlier that you had a question. Do you remember what that was?
No. So I'll just listen for a little while and
Sure. Okay.
see what comes up. Yeah. I can't remember what the question is at the moment. Yeah.
It'll come back or not. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway, it's lovely to be here. Thank you for giving me that chance to talk about that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And I want you to appreciate that if thoughts jump up for you to say something, thoughts about when somebody else is talking, you jump in and offer too. That
Okay.
perspective you've got is going to be valuable for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah. So Elliot, tell us how Tyler could be doing his job better.
Probably not in a position to comment on Tyler doing a job better, but he's been great at just getting me to ask questions, I suppose, and then sort of starting to realize to some degree, the questions aren't necessary, or the questions are voicing doubts and then identifying, oh, doubts are a thought, and then so all the questions and stuff still kind of keep happening, but they don't kick in as hard. It's like it doesn't have the impulse that that's a thing I actually need to go find an answer to. I just started being aware of a little subtle thought that's attached to other thoughts. It's the one that says, no, actually, this one is important. You need to pay attention to this. It's a threat, or it's significant. It's something, and you catch that because you get the initial, okay, that's just a thought, and then there's a tug back. It's like, but this one's different. You need to think about this. Like, what if I just don't? If I just try not doing that for a while. So I've definitely got a lot of impulses to question, and then just trialing. What's it like if I don't follow through with that? What if I just let it be okay, let it be not known? But sort of it is, I guess, still a bit uncomfortable, but it's like, could you just be with being uncomfortable about not knowing something? Do you need to know? Is it going to matter right now? Like, and then sort of, okay, well, if it comes up later, I can think about it later, but try just right now. Don't worry about knowing, and see where that goes. Because there's been a lot, I guess, in my whole history of practice in meditation, there's been a whole lot of reading and watching and finding out and needing to know, and information and maps and progressions and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, well, it hasn't actually done much, if anything, for me in terms of real insight. I mean, throw it all out. It just ignore the voice that says you already know best what you're doing. It just let it go. Just see how we can and abide with sort of not knowing, not doing, not trying to push this forward. Just watch and see what happens. And so it's a very new experience for me, but it's definitely brought up a lot of, I don't know if it's insight as of yet, but certainly experience and just odd sort of, yeah, I guess experience is the word for it. Been through some things that I probably wasn't expecting or haven't seen before, especially that it hasn't come out of, say, like a dedicated concentration practice or a formal insight practice or something like that. Just things that have been even just regular normal life things that come up during day-to-day work and relationships and social situations and stuff. And I think there's been a lot of value in that, even absent awakening and getting further along all of that. Just living life a little bit better has been kind of a relief. It's not all been pleasant fun for sure. There's been a lot of difficult emotion that I've sort of been dealing with as a major chunk of what we're doing right now. It's probably something I haven't really addressed at all in the past. So it was one of those like, yeah, no, totally. I'm ready for all this. I'm ready for whatever. And then, oh, not like that.
Yeah. Stop.
Yeah.
Boy, does your mind work like your mouth?
Yeah, very much.
It goes flat out, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa. Ah, that was exhausting. Yeah, I get it. I'm not saying anything about the content of what you said. I'm just talking about that non-stop roller coaster of wow, words that just went flat out there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look, I like what you're saying. Actually, I like the idea of for a start, the really, really big thing is you're being curious. You're open to discovery. That's a really big thing. Yeah. And if I could just say to you, look, at this stage, it will change later, but at this stage, 100% of your thoughts are just total bullshit. They're just not worth listening to at all. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can almost dismiss every single thought that turns up. I really like what you said about questions not needing answers. Okay. Questions turn up. Great. That's fine. But the obsession to find an answer to satisfy the question is not required whatsoever. So that's another good one that you've come up with. You've seen a few good things there. Yeah. Yeah, all that meditation and reading and stuff. I mean, geez, I know about it. I mean, I did that for 40 years plus, looking, searching. And I tell you, now I realize you can't do it by yourself. Normally, some people do. Occasionally, very occasionally, it'll happen by yourself. But mostly, the mind is so good at pressing your buttons because it's you and it knows exactly where your buttons are and it knows how to take you down rabbit holes with the promise of satisfaction, which of course it never really delivers. You kind of feel like you get close to it sometimes, but then it'll switch off and take you down another rabbit hole. So, yeah. So at this stage, it's your body that you need to listen to, not your head, not your mind. Yeah. Cool. Even that much talking is a bit exhausting. Yeah.
So where do you think this is going, Elliot? Do you think about where this is going?
Thoughts come up about where it's going, and then it's also, I don't think I can know where it's going as such. I kind of just have to do it and see, because I'm pretty sure that whatever I'm thinking of is not going to be it because it's thinking. So they'll, I take on faith that it's going somewhere, and we'll plunge in and see what happens.
Do you want it to go somewhere?
Well, I feel like I've been doing this and for a long time and putting a lot of effort into it. It seems apparent to me that there's, whether you call it that in, quote unquote real terms, if it's somewhere or something, it seems like there's a different way of being, maybe a different way of relating to experience that's, I would imagine, better than how most people are going through life. It seems to be worth the effort, and that's something I want to find out. I'm curious about it. I want to know.
Okay. Keep being curious. That's it.
That's it. Just be curious.
Yeah. But so you said you want to know, being curious, you want to know. Let's change that to let's examine the possibility that you can be curious without finding out something. Right? We're talking about the act of being curious, which is open to discovery rather than looking for some answer or some resolution or something, whatever curiosity might bring. But curiosity is being open in a receptive way, right? Rather than open in a searching way. If you're open in a searching way, well, that's a bit of a oxymoron. You can't really be opening in a searching way because if you're searching, you're looking for something. Even if you imagine, what that is you're looking for, and of course you're looking for it in some fantasy future, right? Because it's not here now, so it must come if I keep so being curious, kind of does talk about a futuristic discovery, but the act of being curious is now, right in this very moment. This isness of this is where the curiosity lives. It's not about what it might find. It's open to whatever might turn up. So the emphasis is on this now openness rather than what might turn up. We don't know what might turn up. That's yet to be discovered. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to put this. I'm still curious. 11 or 12 years later, I still don't know what's going to turn up. I'm still curious, but I'm not in any hurry. I'll just take whatever comes. And amazingly, whatever does turn up is pretty good. So that never ends, being
Mhm.
curious, being open to whatever life offers.
That's good. That sounds like a good thing.
Yeah. So did you uh, grok? Do you know the word grok? Have you
I
come
do,
across
yeah.
that before? Yeah.
Mhm.
So did you grok what Louise said about that um, acceptance of what's there?
Yeah, that's something I've been working on, especially emotion wise, of the feeling and not the thinking about the feeling. There's a very strong tendency to get drawn up into thoughts about whatever's happening. And it's just something I have to do and repeat. And just every time is the first time. Just like, yep, yep, you've seen anger or anxiety or whatever 100 times, but this one is this one. This is the one that's here now. So now do feel it. Don't go into the thought story about it.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a bit of skill that can be developed if you may already have it, but when you feel something, and firstly, here's a good meme for you. A feeling is a sensation with stories hanging off it. So when you go into what it is, you head towards the sensation, and you'll just not engage with any of the stories that come up about it. Right? And as you get closer and closer, you'll find different stories turn up, and you just still don't engage. You notice them, but you just don't engage with them. And you head towards the sensation, go closer and closer to the sensation, where it is, whether it's moving, is it static, is it hot, is it cold, is it sharp, is it dull, is it whatever you're just looking for. But every one of those words I've just said are labels. And so when you get to the label, you recognize that's a bit of a roadblock. That label is going to stop you from getting closer if you engage with the label. So again, because that's just another thought, that label, you just not engage with that and look for what it's pointing to, or what's stimulated the label underneath it. And so you're looking to get so close to that sensation that words cannot even begin to describe it accurately. There's no way you could transmit what you're feeling to somebody else using words, because it's too complex and it's too subtle and it's too changing, or whatever it is. It's just too difficult to use words. So that's how you get closer and closer to what you're feeling. So don't stop at the labels, whatever you do. Yeah, it's a bit of a skill, but yeah,
Right, for
some
sure.
people get it easy, and some people have to work at it. But it's worth persevering with that one. Yeah. Hmm. Sheridan, what's BRB? I've never come across that one before. Not being a social media people, what is
Be right,
BRB?
be
What's
right back.
I'll be right back. Okay. Okay, good. Oh, well, I'm glad I waited until you were back to ask you that. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, yeah, where are you up to on this so-called journey?
Um, how do I not take the rest of the call up? I where am I? When I first started this, it was very illuminating. I think like for many people here, it was like, wow, here's this other kind of way of seeing things, and in the beginning it can be very energizing and exciting, having that kind of new perspective. I then went through a period of kind of what's the point a little bit. Everyone's just a robot with programming. I am, they are. Everyone is just
Yep. Yep.
regurgitating, and we are all like these mindless robots walking around. I started looking at everybody like that. for a period of time, when I started to realize how that story was nothing and really getting that. So I kind of knew that was going to come, but at the same time, I think it was still a surprise to be feeling like that kind of disconnection, you could say, from
Yeah,
everything, which you would expect would be the opposite that you'd be getting from this, but I guess it's kind of part of your pathway. I've kind of reached the point now where I think I'm just really frustrated. It's the only way to
mhm,
describe me at this point. I feel like, so I kind of understand everything intellectually now. I get it. I've got this new clarity on as far as this is how we are working. This is the story that we perpetuate, and how it's all not real, and all that kind of stuff, and how every thoughts you attach your identity to every thought, and that's kind of the crux of the issue. You're not seeing things as they are, and all of that. But my frustration is coming from the fact that I feel like a drug addict, that person who can see all the wrong things that they're doing, seeing all the wrong things that are happening around them as perfect examples of why you
yeah,
shouldn't be doing it anymore,
yeah. But you're still
but
addicted.
I'm still doing it. And
Yeah,
it's like having that, seeing the thoughts coming up and still noticing how I'm iming those thoughts.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
making
yeah,
it, and knowing that they're not supposed to be like that, but then you're still doing it. And it's like, how do I stop? I know, I know, like intellectually, but I can't seem to crack the actual knowing in your bones kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. I get it. I get it. Yeah, yeah. So
Mm.
you've obviously emerged from that existential hole that you were in, and now you're in some other kind of a hole that's little bit different. Yeah,
I suppose
yeah,
it's quite.
yeah.
I'm a, yeah, you say getting it's a bit demotivating. In all honesty, it's
A bit.
like
What was that word again? A bit what?
it's demotivating
Oh,
because
demotivating. Yeah, 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 yeah,
uh, it's like you're doing all this stuff and you're hoping to get to a point where you'll get that aha or clarity, like actual inbuilt clarity, not just seeing it, but
yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah,
being. And I'm just not crossing that bridge.
yeah, yeah.
So
I get that. Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it's very frustrating.
Everything you described to me, all of that was it could have come out of a book. It was all very intellectual, and you were describing it very much at an intellectual level, almost at a third person kind of description, almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and so I get that. I get that. Now, here's the thing. Here's one thing that come to mind here that that might change all of that for you, and that is that there is nothing wrong with any of that. In fact, all of that stuff that is happening to you is exactly what you need right now. It's your friend. It's trying to look after you, and what the crack in the door that you need to kind of look through to see all the difference is, what is that stuff trying to tell you? That's what it's all about. It's not about the stuff itself. It's about the reason why that stuff is there. It's trying to tell you something. And while you're lost in what that stuff is, you can't hear the message that it's trying to give you.
Okay.
So it the first thing is, everything that you think is wrong isn't wrong. It's the messenger. It's not the message. It's the messenger. And what the message is will be revealed to you when you stop getting carried away with the stories about how wrong that is, the stuff that's there.
Okay.
And
So
that's what, yeah,
just
go
to
on.
understand, there's a message in my current experience and what
Yes,
I'm going through. Okay.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Now, Now, your mind is not going to tell you that message. Your body will, but your mind won't. Now that's a little bit of a trick, because the body is going to tell you, and will arrive to you as a thought, but it'll come from the body, not from the head.
Okay. How do you know then when, because you say there's a message in what I'm going through now, I feel like this is just another story that I'm caught up in now.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, oh well, here we go again. Some other chat that's I'm identifying with in this in scenario. Okay.
Yep.
When you do this, when you find yourself doing things and you can see that, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing and it's making you feel bad, you ever just like feel bad? Or do you,
Yeah, I
or does it
do.
just,
So I'm not afraid of like exploring my feelings and all of that. I've done a lot of personal work in the past, like with inner child work, which was I needed to do something like that to be able to not be afraid of feeling my pain, if you know what I mean. And so that was quite a moment in my life to instead of running away from it, to just see it for the moment and experience it. But then after doing all of that work, which was at some points quite traumatic because I was really kind of getting at myself at that point. Um, I think after that scenario, that time where I kind of went through a bit of a personal purge, I just started to think that what's the way to say this? Those are all stories as well. It's
yeah,
just
but
another story I was caught up in, and like you understand that now. You understand that all the kind of brainwashing that you do to every situation. Um, and you realize that now you go through the feelings, allow yourself to not be a victim anymore and all of that, and mentally allow yourself to feel pain, allow yourself to feel your emotions, your bodily feelings, all of that kind of stuff. And then you realize actually wait, that okay, all really good to experience to do, but that was just another story. That was just another way my brain wanted to perceive a situation. And then yeah, I feel like I'm caught in a loop. I feel like I'm caught
right.
in a loop.
So, but then this stuff still keeps happening and still makes you feel bad, and that's why you're here, yeah?
Yeah, I'm frustrated. I feel like I'm looking through a glass window and I can't seem to open it to get to the
Yeah.
outside.
So typically when we work through something and we see the stories lose their power and it doesn't make you feel quite so intense emotions anymore. So, when you see something happening and you feel bad and then you look at the story and then you're like, oh, that's just a story, and then you just shut it off and you go somewhere else. That's something we call bypassing. So it's kind
Okay,
of like,
I don't shut it off. I just look at it with like annoyance. You're like, here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. So I have not learned the art of walking past even the thoughts. It still has me. Even if I see that it's nothing. Like Vince, when you said like most of your thoughts are just rubbish, I was like, yeah, see it all day long. You know what I mean? It's production line of crap that comes through my head. But then every one of those thoughts still has me identifying with it. And I'm seeing that I'm doing that. And I can't I can't seem to separate myself from it.
I
right, but
can just for what's happening with me the last couple of weeks. When from my experience, seeing it as the story is part of it, and then you also have to dive into the bad feeling and feel bad, and just even though it sucks, and even though you can say, "Oh, that's just a story," that doesn't make the physical feelings go away. And if you're not feeling them, they will just come back, and they'll come back, and they'll come back until you do. And that's where the story is coming from. The story is coming from the feeling. I had to address the feeling underneath it to resolve or let the story sort of bleed out on its own. The fuel that's bringing that into consciousness is still there until it thoroughly felt, and probably not just once, like a lot, for the force or the energy that's behind that to sort of burn itself out.
And do you see how when you're like, I can't seem to separate myself from it, I see how it's a story and all this, that's all thought?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you kind of like, you had your old beliefs and they were giving you trouble, so you picked up these new shiny ones that look like they're gonna make you suffer less. It kind of doesn't work like that. Because, they're not, you can say, oh, they're just stories, but if you don't, if they really were just stories, you would not feel anything from them. Like you can say that and you can think that.
So to say they're just a story, which you've said several times, and that seems to be a pretty big one for you,
Mhm.
that's the bypassing that Tyler's talking about. That's the way of saying that they're irrelevant. Now they are bullshit, but they are relevant. So why that story and not a story about pink elephants or something else? Right? That particular story, right? But don't. That's not to say get involved in the story. That's just a question why that particular story turned up. And so when you dismiss them as just a story, that's leading you to nowhere. That's the part of the problem. Right? They are a story and they are bullshit, but the particular story that turned up is underneath that story is the message, not in the story, but underneath it. Why did that particular story arise? And so instead of dismissing them, they need to be accepted, even loved, because they are you looking after you. So we love them for their intention, not for their content, not for what they're about, but we will respect what they're about as telling us something that we haven't been seeing, and especially if they keep coming back. When they keep reoccurring, they're being a bit insistent because there's something you're not hearing.
Okay.
So how do we do that? That's the question that ought to be there at the moment. How do we do that? Yeah. Mm.
I think as how so well, okay, I'll go through my emotions again. Feel, explore, feel the pain, not ignore, not ignore. But then how do you know when you are overly identifying with something and making it part of yourself as opposed to
Okay, forget
um
about that one at the moment, right? Forget about the identification thing, It is all about identification. I get that. I agree with that for sure. But the moment you say I'm identifying, that
Mm,
has a whole lot of really strong stories hanging off it that says, oh, this shouldn't be happening, or versions of
okay.
that. And that's the
Mm,
problem. That's what leads you astray. That's what takes you away from what's going on. Right. So if you discover that you're identifying, you celebrate that. That's a beauty. That's definitely a recognition worth celebrating, because in the recognition of it will come acceptance of the fact that it's happened, and in that will come a revelation. It will reveal what it's about to you. But whatever you say, piss off, you're just a story, it's not gonna show you anything.
okay.
Everything that comes up, absolutely everything that comes up is relevant. And everything that comes up is okay, kind of put that in quotes. That's a slightly hard one, but it's fine. It's not that it's good what it's about, but it's fine the fact that it is there. The fact that it is there is where your focus can be, looking underneath it. Not when I said why earlier, why is it there? that's not really what you need to be looking for, because that invites you to get back into your head. But we are looking for a why, but we're really looking for a what. What is there? So why and how also are rabbit holes that we don't need to go down with our mind. But you can say why as long as you recognize that what it's really about is what. What is there? What is underneath the arising of that story? What? And without judgment, anytime the moment you bring opinion or judgment to it, it's going to go and hide, and you're not going to see what it's about. So what is there also requires a kind of an acceptance of the fact that shit's happening at the moment. And that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's good, because there's a message there for us to hear. So you don't have to go looking for pain. That's not gonna get you anywhere. Yes, but pain will happen for sure. Or pain will happen because we're giving up something. We're giving up not something. We're giving up a delusion. That's the difference. That identification is a delusion, and sometimes there's grief involved with giving that up. But it can be a bit painful, emotionally painful, sure. But that's just as fine as a feeling of elation or a good feeling. Whatever turns up, it's specifically made for you, whatever it is, and your version of that is absolutely spot on for what you need to hear. I don't
Thank
know
you.
if that's helping you with how to go about this. Yeah.
Yes and no. I might need to do some digesting after this.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a lot, isn't it? Yeah.
There's nothing to digest. All the digesting is gonna be done by your mind. Like, do you have an issue being vulnerable? Is that something for you?
Yes and no. I mean, if I know that there's a means to an end for it, yeah, I don't mind. I'll do it. I had major issues with that in the past. I've now kind of let go of that, and understand there's value and that, and it's not a sign of weakness and all of that. So no, I'm better about it, but it's not something I would look forward to
Okay,
particularly.
so all this is just, it's very relatable. It's what people do, your whole life. You use the mind to solve problems. Society tells you, being smart is good, and then you think that you can think your way out of every problem, which is, you mostly can if you're a smart person, and that makes you trust the intellect a lot. But it's just got, it makes who trust the intellect a lot. The intellect just has a lot of trust in itself to solve all of the problems. And so shit turns up, and you're like, wait, okay, so I can think out of this, right?
I control my
Yeah.
situation. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then you see, I mean, I'm sure you tried it a lot probably, and it doesn't work, because it's this whole different ball game. The intellect is not made for that. And if it still kicks in when you feel stuff and it gets in the way, that's okay. That's still a part of what's going on. It's just what it's designed to do, it's there to protect you. And maybe maybe you'll get it soon. Maybe you won't. Maybe it'll take you 100 more times of trying to fix it with your mind before you're like, okay, fuck, I can't do anything about this. But yeah, it's on the way.
Thank you.
In a way, you have to accept stupid words. Every time I say something, I realise it's full of shit, you know. But anyway, you don't have to do anything, but you have to accept. You know, there is a kind of an acceptance that nothing's wrong. Everything is as it is, and so this is one for you too, Elliot. There needs to be an acceptance that I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know why this is here. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know anything at the moment. All right. And it's like that's a good one for the near future for you. That will allow you to investigate what is without opinion or judgment, because an opinion is a judgment. And in the very short term, you might even fool yourself by saying, "Well, I'm happy to accept that I don't know anything now, because in the future I will know something." But that's not true, because in the future you'll be even more happy about the fact that you don't know anything. But yeah, don't worry about that at the moment. But yeah, for the moment, accepting that you don't know and you can't know anything. You know, it's a little bit like asking the eyeball to see itself. We're asking the mind. We're using the mind to change the way the mind works, and that's the trick. It's a thorn, using a thorn to get out a thorn. Somebody said recently, yeah. But it's the same kind of thing. So it can never make sense. Now, there's a really weird saying, isn't it? It can't make sense. Hey, when we say sense, are we talking about the five senses? When we say it can't make sense, we're talking about the mind, aren't we? Now, how weird is that? We say it doesn't make sense. So there's an oxymoron in our language that says we can't make sense of this, meaning we can't get our mind around it. When the actual word is talking about something that's not mind, it's talking about the five physical senses. The word, anyway. So yeah,
There's
it's a weird
for me
one.
at least, there's a double whammy with this of at the same time you're kicking out the supports from under you, undermining, the mind and thoughts that you've used to orient yourself your entire life, and at the same time becoming so much more aware of what's happening in the mind, what's happening in the senses. There is shit tons more data and no way to orient it, and it's hard to, because there isn't. It's reaching for different tools. Okay, well, I can't use salt. What do I use? I have to use something. I have to arrange this into something I can parse. And just keeping the mental hands off, so to speak, taking the hands off the wheel is difficult. And there's an intuition, or like an intuitive sense that what you need to be doing is cutting the cord and stop trying and stop thinking you can know, and just completely let it go. And there's still sort of in the back there's like, but if you do that, then, well, what are you doing? You're not doing anything at all. You're never gonna get it. You're never gonna work it out, whatever it is. Like, yeah, but that's also a thought. But you just gotta walk up to that edge a little bit and then back off and then keep going a little bit closer every time.
I've got a great koan for that one. So how do you do not doing? That is just a brilliant koan, I reckon. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Not doing is it. Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you do that?
It twists the minds around. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a koan for you.
Hi. Is it okay to come back in again?
Yeah, absolutely. Jump in, please. Anytime.
Yeah, Sheridan's section just reminded me of the question that I had. And you're talking about the body and going to the senses of the body, and there's been much more of that happening. It's like it seemed it appears a lot more of the time, like 51% watching the body, and 49% or 50% back into the thoughts. And as I mentioned before, this ease and more acceptance, there's something that comes up, and you talked about existential terror, and what it seems like, and it comes out of nowhere, is like it's almost like a little crack in a vase, and it's got a little bit of a gap, and it's very dark, and it just comes really like sharp and intense. And it reminds me, because I come from a recovery background, so I'm 3 years sober, and it reminds me of the end days of my drinking, and like it's like just, you know, there's nothing there. And I realized, I suppose my question is, as Sheridan was talking about that, going to the edge and going to the ceiling, I could feel my body like tensing up, and it's like those moments just come, and I think I'm still trying to push them away, but it took with the pain. It's like I'm happy. I think I'm happy. There seems to be an acceptance that particular fear, and I don't know what that is. Like even now, I was just talking about it, I can feel it in my chest, in my stomach. It's like I'm still fearful of that feeling coming back. It's very kind of like it hasn't got any meaning to it. It's very dark. Yeah, so and we talk about the body sensations, that I can't believe that I was never taught that. It took 53 years before I learned how to listen to the body, that language of the body. Anyway, so I just wanted to bring that up because that was my question. It seems really difficult to accept. Even thinking about those moments, but I also realized that because it didn't come up before, I couldn't remember what the question was. That just, it shows it's another thought, because the thought just arose when Sheridan was talking, and then but it wasn't there before. It's another thought. So I suppose I'm a little confused with or shall I just leave it alone?
Oh, no, yes, no, I don't know what's appropriate, but yeah. So you heard Sheridan mention about selfing. She didn't use quite that word, but it was meant the same thing. Forgot what she said, but yeah. So selfing is when identification occurs, and identification happens. It's a defensive mechanism that happens in the body, and so we're defending something, and as we travel through this landscape, if you like, along this metaphorical path, things will trigger selfing. And in a lot of cases, those things are simply remnants, things that haven't been triggered since we woke up, so to speak, and they haven't been triggered, and therefore they haven't been looked at. And when they do occur, if we don't bypass them by saying, oh yeah, that's just another story, if we accept that they're there and we look at them, they'll just dissolve and you won't see them again. But if they keep coming back, it tells us that something else is there, something underneath that needs looking at. Now, so here's so my story I've got is that every one of us, every single person in the world, particularly as a child, goes through trauma, experiences trauma in one form or another. It can be really, really absolutely blatant abuse, right down to simply feeling abandoned or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, that it's there in all of us. Now, the thing is, it happened in the past, but it exists in the present. But we don't see it. Our selfing, our mind keeps us away from these things when they're there, because it's the monster under the bed that we're really too frightened to look at. And the consequence is that if we don't get to look at it, it doesn't get to dissolve. It stays as a monster, a potential monster. And it sounds a little bit like something like that might be occurring for you, and so you've successfully avoided it, and you can continue to successfully avoid it, but it will still be there. But as you get further along this path, I was going to say you'll want to exorcise it. You want to get it out, but I don't know if want is the right way to do it. But you probably will see the value, if you like, of that not being there anymore, because that's creating stress and causing unhealth and things like that, simply by being there. So while ever it's unexamined and it stays as that monster, then it keeps your body in a state of alertness that isn't necessary. You need to be, to be healthy, you need to be relaxed a lot of the time. You'll be alert when you need to be alert, and you'll be tense when you need to be tense, but you'll be relaxed most of the time rather than alert most of the time. And your subconscious mind will keep you alert while ever it feels that it needs to defend you from that monster under the bed. So, yeah, if it's there and it needs to be looked at, then you need to be in a situation to be able to look at that in an adaptive way, a way of responsibly putting it in its proper perspective, kind of thing. Now, sometimes people will feel, and it's a little bit like the mind thing. The people will feel that, oh, I've got to really examine this thing. I've got to expose what it is, and I've got to examine it in order to get it out. And well, that's not the case. It can be that way. I've seen people who do that. I've seen people who have examined those things but still suffer from it, right? Because the ramifications of seeing it didn't fall into place at the time because of the way it happened. But then I've also seen people, and much more frequently, I've seen people who just recognise that something is there from before, but it exists now. And in recognising that can be enough for it to dissolve, not recognising it intellectually, but seeing its actual existence. Not even, so we never get to know what that monster was about. We just lean over the bed and turn the torch on and discover that the only thing under there is a little bit of dust. There's no monster at all. But while we don't look at it, it's going to keep being a monster. This kind of thing. So I'm wondering if that's an answer to your question. I don't know if it's the case. Tyler, I'd love Tyler to give you a different perspective to mine on.
Yeah. That was very helpful.
I
just wanted to add one. I just want to add one thing when you were talking about wanting to look at it to do something to get rid of it, and it's very similar to a lot of the stuff that when I went through recovery. It's like the road gets narrower and narrower, and you almost don't have a choice, but you have to look at it. And when it comes, it's very intense. Now it's not very long; they're very short, much shorter. And I think that's how it feels. It feels like, well, it's like it's eventually going to pinch. It will be looked at when, yeah. But what I wanted to say today is I recognize it as a fear, as something. So, yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah. Tyler, if you have something to add, and then I'll I'm going to
Oh
be
yeah,
quiet for the rest.
I also wanted to draw that parallel between this and alcoholism, because what makes, alcohol so addicting? What makes it so hard to kick? It's that there are feelings that you don't want to feel, and you got to get out of jail free card, right?
Yeah.
And when the alcohol is no longer an option, you feel like the walls are closing in on you. You feel powerless. You feel like, okay, now I gotta face it, and that's really scary. And some people stay addicted until they die because the suffering from alcohol addiction seems like the lesser evil than the fear of facing that unknown feeling. And it's really the same thing happening here. You have these selfing mechanisms, these ways that the intellect has evolved to defend you from feeling certain things that the intellect may inherently fear. And so it's very hard to kick it. It's like as soon as you feel the fear, it kicks in because, okay, no, I don't want none of that. Let me use my get out of jail free card. So what I think, if you do want to look at this, you got to look at, what do you fear? What's down this thing?
I actually don't know. It doesn't have any words.
Is that why you fear it? Because it's nothing?
I'm just trying to think what comes up. And I think it's around I failed. Yeah, I failed in the world. No point in being here anymore.
So does meaninglessness sound close to that? Purposelessness, impermanence, your actions being futile?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you be
thought it's really interesting, is it? Like, yeah, who I thought I was and what I did in the world isn't really, like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah, and what if, there's no reason for you to be here?
No, it's I don't know exactly what it is, but it's around that I have not fulfilled a purpose in this room, in this world. I shouldn't be here. I might as well get out. Actually, it would be nice to it would be better to get out. I'd feel it's too scary to stay. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's shame. There's shame about what's been done, what I've done in the past, and that I can't fix it.
That's getting closer. Yeah. If fear usually sits on top of shame. And shame sits on top of other things too. But if you,
Well, the word
go on.
the word guilt comes up,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't have any much oomph at the moment, because I worked through I did a 12-step program, so that the power of the guilt isn't particularly strong. It's more the shame and the uselessness. Actually, the uselessness. I don't have much use. I'm not important, worthy.
Mm.
Yeah.
So can you hear somebody telling you you're useless? Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
This is close to home for me because my father used to always tell me I was useless. He'd have spittle coming out of his mouth when he told me how useless I was as a kid. So, yeah, but that's my story. But what about you? Do you hear somebody telling you you're useless?
Not that I remember.
Only
Not that I
yourself.
remember.
Mm,
Yes. Yes.
mm.
Oh, yeah. Yes. That was my go-to. I'd forgotten about that.
There you go.
I get things wrong. Yeah, it's like a self-dialogue.
Yeah. So you would literally beat yourself up with that phrase.
Yeah, my dad did that a lot. He had this thing where he used to get something wrong and he used to go, ooh, oh, drive me nuts,
Oh,
drive me
okay.
nuts.
So it wasn't that
Yeah,
he called you useless, but he taught you how to be useless, or he taught you what useless was.
yeah.
What happened then? What's happening now? Something happened.
Um, it's the story. There's a story of because I was an accidental child of the 60s. Um, and I always have felt that I was in the way of two people just getting together. Oh gosh, I don't know where this is coming from.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So you were the reason why they didn't get on
Yeah,
sometimes?
yeah, but I had a story that it was I was quite proud of being an accident. It was my story. I was
Mm,
an accident. And
yeah,
it was
yeah.
like, look at me. But like, actually, the more I know about how would I feel if I had got pregnant and I was thrown out the house, I would have been scared. I'd have been really scared.
So this is you forgiving your parents?
It's understanding, actually, just like, yeah,
Yeah, well, understanding and forgiveness are pretty much the same thing. You can see the innocence of them now
yeah.
that you couldn't as a child. That celebration as a child of being an accident, that you were an accident of the universe, that was a bit rebellious, I imagine. There was a little bit of,
Well, it wasn't there. This like it's nothing to do with my parents. This is nothing to do with my parents.
mm,
It was just I was born. That was all.
mm,
All the rest is stories.
yeah. Don't dismiss it though. Just it was story, but there were reactions to that story, weren't there?
Yeah, on many levels, on many layers, different people. Yeah.
Mm.
I just feel the that sense of like being embraced again, that softness. It feels feels like a cloud, like just coming in.
Mm-hmm. Experience it. Swim in it. Let it envelop you.
I'm entitled to be here as much as anybody else.
Absolutely. It's not even an entitlement. It's just a fact.
Yeah, that's always been a feeling, like I'm not quite supposed to be in the room.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
I don't even usually say anything.
Mm.
Mm. But I'm not having any, I'm not actually controlling this. I'm really not. Don't even know how I got up at 6 o'clock this morning, but
Yeah. You can almost say that life does this. You had no idea when you got up at 6 o'clock that you were going to look at the monster under the bed, were you?
it feels like it's coming on the right hand side. It's like a real just being enveloped, tingling, softness, acceptance. It's very strong.
Mm.
It has a power to it.
Yeah. It's huge, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shifting your whole being.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's really funny watching the thoughts trying to get their elbows in.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so funny. Oh dear, so funny. Yes, but yes. Mm. Yeah, nothing needed really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it helps, the same experience of yes, but is my favorite thought I've noticed. It works for everything. It applies to everything. Every time you identify as a thought as a thought, there's always a yes, but that never stops until it stops. You just you keep going. Yes, but is also a thought. Yes, but to that yes, but is also a thought. And that I could spend half an hour doing that at a time. There's always something that says this thought is actually real or actually important, but that's also a thought.
Louise, what thoughts come up here is that I'm suggesting that right now you switch off and go back to bed. And if you can,
It's what I,
if you can
yeah, I'd like
sleep
to,
now, that would
I'd
be
like
brilliant.
to just let this wash through. That's beautiful.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And and if you can get into that twilight zone of almost asleep now, that will just be so
Yeah.
great for integration. Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Let's not contaminate it with anything new. Just let it flow through. This is your monster gone easily, so easily. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I'll be back and I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you for this. Thank you. This beautiful space.
Oh,
Beautiful.
thank you. Thank you for making this beautiful space as well.
Yeah.
Mm,
Have a good day, everyone.
yeah. Sweet dreams. Mm. How have you been, Irene?
This is also relevant, the monster under the bed. I came to the right place.
Oh,
I even watched, I was awake at 1 a.m., which is when this starts for me. And I didn't get on until 1:45. I was just like, it's so much resistance, and like the mind is just really active. And yeah, feels kind of like being in a washing machine. And I'm on the spin cycle. And I'm getting all washed, and man, I don't know what's going to be when I get spit out of the washing machine. Um, so it's just this nebulous kind of fear. Um, I It can't be pinpointed, so I can't identify it, which makes it a monster under the bed. It's
mm.
just nebulous.
Yeah, just knowing it exists and acknowledging it is a huge thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's that really existential annihilism, just looming.
Mm. You can almost say that was another monster under the bed, or not quite under the bed, but a monster about a
Yeah,
monster.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel rather, and the feeling is just being paralyzed, immobilized. Uh, yeah, just going around in a loop.
Yeah, that brought up thoughts about how part of our sleep cycle is there is a paralysis that happens, and it's got to do with saving us from hurting ourselves by not acting out a dream when we have dreams. So it's like that, it's the subconscious way of protecting you from activity when it's inappropriate because you're in bed. But the same time, if you wake up or partially wake up during that time, you feel trapped, and that's when the monster becomes really big because you can't move. You're trapped
Mhm.
watching it approach. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like it's a real experience, but it happens in a kind of a semi-sleep, semi-awake kind of state as well. But it's real and it's also metaphorical. Yeah.
Mm. You know, I'm just uh, there's a pulling in, like to just be with, it feels like, so there's these web lines, and all these web lines are coming in, like so that I can see what's mine. Or um, just in the relationships, the important relationships. Um, yeah, there's this pulling in and wanting to kind of retreat from relationship and just see what's here, what belongs to me, and what belongs to others. And
Okay.
it's a
Yeah.
really uh, mm, disconcerting, not
Mm.
knowing. Um, yeah.
That would seem
So,
to me to be a big one. Yeah.
yeah, it is a big one. It is a big one. And I think, well, my sense is that that pulling in of all these kind of web lines, it's like I haven't wanted really to speak to anyone or to engage with anyone, really. I've just wanted to just draw inward.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, a story comes up here that that it's that it may be, and please don't just own these because I say it. Do check it out. That there has been um, a blurring of of the the what is you and what is not you, or what is you and what is other people. How much
Hmm.
are you simply a response to other people, kind of thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can just see my hands are just starting to like this movement.
Mm.
It's we're close. It's really like this is the place where it's scary. Yeah, the whole body is just tensing up. Well, that felt like something of a being with it and releasing and moving with it, kind of gentle.
Mm. Not
Yeah.
rejecting it though.
No?
No. There was a very distinct change in your tone of voice from a moment ago to this just then.
Mm,
So yeah, if that was an accepting of it, that's great. Yeah,
yeah.
and with that comes some more clarity as well about, well,
Hoping
yeah,
so. Hoping so.
yeah, yeah.
Nice to get out of the washing machine
Ah,
and onto dry ground, stable ground. But I guess
yeah,
there really is no stability, or there's stability in the instability. I'm not sure.
yeah. But hey, what's the spin cycle is all about extracting water
Yeah,
from the clothes, isn't it? Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah,
Squeezing it out.
yeah, getting it out. Yeah, throwing it out even. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. And I imagine that it will also put you in a position to be more aware of what goes on inside you when you are with other people, and particularly those other people where I imagine that some people it was more difficult to find yourself when you're with them. And so if you're with them now, next time you're with them, whoever they are, you may discover some new and interesting things because of this.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, um, may I share just a bit of
Of course.
story?
Yes.
My brother, my younger brother, who, um, when I said I wasn't ready to talk, said, "No, I'm the one that's not ready, and I'm basically don't reach out to me. I won't respond." That kind of thing, which was really painful.
Yeah.
He texted me this evening and said, "Hi, sis, I'd love to talk to you if you're willing." And I didn't know what I'm walking into. I don't know whether it's going to be more dumping of anger, and I really don't want that, uh, or or what. And there's this concern about how will I know when I'm ready to talk to him, because I don't really want to respond quite yet because I don't feel quite ready.
Will you ever?
And I don't know, but I don't want to. It feels like I'm boxed in, and there's no I don't see an exit door here, like a good exit door. It's
Mm.
just all blocked in. There's no winning here. There's no, yeah, I just can't find that.
Okay. So if you're boxed in, what are your options? You're in a room that's got no exits. What are your options?
Right. Get comfortable inside the
Get
room.
comfortable. Absolutely. Get comfortable inside the room. You got it. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
okay, I can do that.
So no, nothing promises that this is going to be pleasant,
Right.
yeah, or even
Right.
satisfactory. Yeah.
No, there are no promises whatsoever, are there?
But here is life offering.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But what is it offering?
Well, that's the good question. You you can be sure it's offering you a gem, but whether it will be seen as that or not is another story. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That's a good perspective. Yeah.
This you don't have to look very far. I don't think, in my imagination, you've yearned for this moment for a long time. You really want this.
I
Right?
do.
Is this Joe we're talking about?
No, this is Steve. Joe died.
Oh, Joe.
This
Right, I got
family
it
is
wrong.
this
Yeah,
family
yeah.
is falling. I'm telling you, this whole shattering, I think, is part, that's part of the contribution of what's happening here,
Right. Yeah,
because yeah, it's the container kind of in which it's happening.
yeah.
Family.
And it's offering a potential something really wonderful at the end of it all, kind of thing. Yeah. It's not too late.
Okay.
Next year might be too late. 10 years from now might be totally unattainable. Who knows? Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah.
So is it okay to be scared? Is it okay to feel fearful about what might happen? Is it
I
okay for
guess with
stories?
yeah, I guess like when I think about my brother, again, I start wrenching my hands. Is that I feel like it's just not I guess I have to just I feel very vulnerable and he can hurt me.
Yeah,
I feel vulnerable and he has hurt me, and I guess I just have to see what's on the other side of his communication. And
yeah. But here's a big one. Here's a really, really
yeah,
big one. He has never hurt you. You have hurt you. He's
yeah,
just been the trigger for that.
okay, yeah. Let me just hold that a minute and remind myself of that. Yeah, I get that.
Mm. And I just love for it to be okay for you to feel hurt
Yeah.
if that happens. Yeah. So in a way, you're taking on the I don't know how to put it, the karma of the whole family. That's you. You are just carrying everything and everybody, everything that's ever happened. All of that is you, your burden. And even though you might not admit it, you've been the willing pack horse for that burden. Because what you want, which is perhaps right at hand, is a wonderful shedding of the burden and a marrying of coming together of a fractured family.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ache for that. I know you do. I do, and I don't even know you that well, but I do. I can feel it. You know. Yeah.
Partially there was this fear of not having any protection as things dropped away. Like the protection drops away, and then there's nothing protecting me, is what it was feeling like.
Mm,
It was like, yeah, like a seeming protection, but not
mm,
really a protection.
mhm.
Yeah, it feels like that just moved.
Yeah, great. I'd love you to think, to feel like there's nothing to protect. Whatever gets dumped on you can just pass right through you.
It
You're
can.
a sub. Yes.
Without a doubt, it can't.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
You're as substantial as the breeze.
I like that. Ah. Ah. That's really lovely. Ah,
Mm.
thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. I think you two should go to bed now and allow that to
Night, night.
integrate. Yes.
You're putting us all to sleep, Vince.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you were supposed to wake us up. Bye-bye now. Thanks, everyone. Mwah. Love you
Goodbye.
all.
Yeah, I love you too. Yeah. Wow. Ah,
This is the kind of stuff you did during your years of therapy, being a therapist.
no, not like this. No. I don't feel I do anything, you know. I just I don't know how to put it. Yeah. But it happens sometimes, and it's really, I love it. It's beautiful. I just feel so. It's a bit exhausting too.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
I was thinking about what I am scared of the most. And I think I'm scared of a strong emotion or strong physical pain, the kind that is incapacitating. Again, the one with that I rather die than feel like this.
Mm. Yeah. I kind of see you as a strong person. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know,
And
it's my
also,
imagination, but yeah.
Tyler, I think this is also the answer why I wouldn't kill myself. Because dying, I fear, is one of this feelings and this pain that I'd rather die than go through dying.
Mm.
But none of the stuff you said you fear is here now, no?
No, but it happened.
It
It can
happened.
happen.
Has it happened before?
Yeah.
The incapacitating pain?
Emotions.
Both, or just emotions?
Emotions. I don't think I was in so much pain that I'd rather die than feel pain like this.
But you also would rather not die because dying is really bad.
I just would like to, poof, go out of existence. Or just give me general anesthesia. It will do.
Well, so it's not dying that you fear.
The process of dying.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're not afraid of something like you die in your sleep and you don't feel anything.
Who knows what one feels when dying in the sleep?
Okay, then let's change it to you're not scared of dying under general anesthesia.
No.
Yeah.
If I just faint and then die, then no fear of that.
But you don't know how you're gonna die.
No.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yes, all the possible ways of painful dying are scary.
Do you think
Or
about it?
painful living.
Do you think about painful death a lot?
It's just about painful things. And I no, I don't think about it. I put it away.
But you go through pain pretty frequently, right? More emotional than physical, I imagine.
But it's not so strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I am an alcoholic. Oh my, how many years? 15 years not drinking.
15 years not drinking.
Mm-hmm.
How was the pain of not drinking?
Mm. Um, but when I stopped drinking, it was hard. And I managed to keep myself together for 5 years. And then I went through major depression. And after the depression, well, it can still come back. I changed the circumstances of my life. And I'm just trying not to expose myself to anything that would cause strong emotions.
What would cause some very strong emotions for you?
Difficult work, job. No, I'd rather earn less than risk another depression.
So you've set up your life in such a way that you don't have to go through any kind of intense emotional or physical pain, is that right?
Mm-hmm. As much as it's possible.
Would you say that this whole awakening thing, the purpose of it for you is to get away from all of that pain, is to kill it before it even comes, so that you know that you don't have to face that kind of thing?
I've never thought about it this way, but why not? I think I'm doing what I'm doing, but what is the goal of it? Why am I doing it? That is just an interpretation.
Yes, the why is always an interpretation, but also
I can't know all the whys. Why am I drinking?
You mean you don't know why you were drinking?
When I was drinking, I certainly didn't know. It just felt good.
As opposed to feeling bad when you're not drinking. So isn't that why? Because you want to feel good and you don't
Yeah,
want to
but it wasn't all the whys. It was one interpretation. It made me function better in any social gathering. So
And why do you want to function better in social gatherings? Is it because the people around will like you more? You'll feel more free? So you'll feel better about yourself as opposed to feeling worse about yourself? I know that the why is all interpretation, but we can't ignore the why because there's always reasons why we do things, right? Maybe I won't ask you why are you on this path. maybe I'll ask you, why haven't you quit?
Well, now I gave myself time till 10th of January.
Well, why did you give yourself time until the 10th of January? Why don't you quit now?
Hmm. I'm not so tired yet to quit.
What are you hoping for to happen before 10th January?
A shift?
And how will a shift change your life?
I don't know.
So why have you been looking for it for so long? What if you get into a car accident tomorrow and you become paralyzed and you're in a constant state of pain? You can't move your limbs. You always feel trapped and you're in pain.
Yes?
Yeah. Then what would have been the point of everything?
The point of what? I don't understand the question.
Of all this seeking?
If I was paralyzed and in
Or
pain,
if you had a shift, whatever that means, and you become paralyzed and you're in constant pain and you can't move, and the experience was terribly unpleasant all the time, how does that make you feel, imagining that? Today you get it and you're like, aha, I found it, I'm enlightened, I did it, I'm liberated, I'm free. And then boom, tomorrow, that's it. And what would have been the point of all of the seeking and the awakening? You're not Superman. You'll still be stuck in
no.
a pit. You can't do anything you want. You're always in pain. Experience is not pleasant at all. The awakening would not be able to do anything about that experience.
And it was, if it would be so strong pain that I can't escape from feeling it anyway, and the pain that takes over. There is nothing to be done.
There's nothing to be done about pain. You can't stop pain. You can try your best to avoid it. But are you not still suffering now?
Hmm?
Are you still suffering now, even trying your best to avoid all the pain?
There is always this fear of pain. Even if I try to put it away and not think about it, it's there. The body is shaking.
Would it be more accurate to say there is always the fear of imagined pain?
But what can you do about it? You know, if you're cutting vegetables and you cut your finger and you're like, fuck, kurva. And then what's the difference if an enlightened guy is cutting vegetables and he cuts his finger? Fuck. It hurts.
Well, I I imagine that awakened guy doesn't feels pain when there is pain, and not fears the pain that is not here.
It's not possible to fear the pain that is there. It can only be experienced. But fear is always about the future, isn't
Yes, even then, but the pain will continue.
it? Well, we don't know how long
It's
it will
about the
continue.
future. Yes.
Yeah. So do you think the light enlightened guy would think about pain continuing?
well, you know, the awakened say some strange things about there is no time and so on.
Well, that would be bypassing, though, wouldn't it?
I have no idea what they mean by that.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't matter.
Mm.
Even if like the Buddha says there's no time, it doesn't mean there's no pain.
Of course. And there is even a sutta when he asks some, I don't know, he asks Shariputra to, you continue my lecture, my back hurts.
Are you scared of the pain, or are you scared of thinking about future pain when you're in pain?
So let's say it ask a question once more because I got lost in my thoughts.
Are you scared of the experience of pain, or are you scared that when you experience pain, you won't be able to stop thinking about the pain continuing in the future and feeling the anxiety about that? Because it's two very different things, right?
Yes, it's a reaction to pain.
So what are you scared of? The pain or the reaction to pain?
The reaction.
So you're worrying about worrying. Do you see that?
Yes, and I can control the reaction, and I can control the fear of this reaction.
So, now you deal with the fear already. Let's not even talk about the future pain. Nowadays, you deal with the fear of the pain. You say it's always there, right? Do you ever go into the fear and try to feel it? Or is it just constant trying to do something, distract yourself from that fear? Maybe even try to wake up.
I think, no, I haven't gone into the fear.
Right. If you want practical
Don't-
advice, I would say find some time when you don't have obligations. Forget about this awakening stuff. Forget about seeing through the witness or the awareness. Because all of this is something you can do so that you don't feel the fear. Try not to occupy yourself. If you have free time, let it be free. Don't fill it up. If you've configured your life such that you feel as little emotional pain as possible, I think it's time to relook that. Because there's no insight here that's gonna magically solve your problem without you going through it. And I know that when I say that, it sounds nonsensical. It sounds like a childish way of thinking, but it's just how we are wired to think. We want the best case scenario.
No, I think what you are saying sounds nice. It sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's right. Just give it a shot. I
don't know either. It just sounds.
My thought is just that, you've dug so deep down this awakening hole and you see quite clearly more than many other people, but there's two holes you have to dig, and you're this far down the awakening hole and you put a blanket over the emotion hole and you're like, I don't want to look at that. Okay. See if you can look at that. See if you can feel the pain.
And it occurs to me that fear is a particular kind of pain, and it's different to emotional pain and physical pain. It has its own kind of pain. Yeah. Seems like Tyler's forte is to push people into a corner where there is no escape from something. He does that so well. Yeah, I envy him. I've never seen you smile so big. That was beautiful. In a way, this whole waking up thing is all about not running away from ourselves. It's an interesting perspective.
Yes, yes. Oh, it's just like my mind just it's like no matter how much I say to myself, don't run away, don't run away, it will find the way to run away. It's just and I keep running in circles and just I can't go. So yes, this looking into the fear. Maybe it is the way out of running in circles.
Ooh.
Although I'm afraid now that my mind will find the way to turn it into running in circle again.
So maybe we don't run out of running in circles. We run into the center.
That would be nice.
Yeah, but it's fine. The problem solves itself. Eventually, there's nowhere left to run, and then you have to face it. Fun.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'd love to hear your waking up story one day, Tyler. That would, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, maybe one day.
I kind of imagine that you were pushed into a corner.
Well, isn't everyone?
Yeah, kind of, I guess. Yeah. Mm.
You know, Vince, these meetings get so long, and I've
Yeah.
been to the toilet twice during this meeting, and I wonder how you can sit in the car for like 3 hours sometimes and not have to go pee.
I don't know either. Yeah. It's interesting, sometimes I've felt like, oh, I really have to pee, and I don't, and then next thing I'm not feeling like I need to either. But yet when I get out, it'll be a dash to the toilet for sure. Yeah. Has it been any value for you here today, Dennis?
Yeah, definitely, Vince. Yeah. Um, I had a desire last night to make sure I got up. I think you started at 6, but I joined at just around 7. And just listening to the last 3 conversations, um, it was really resonating with that feeling of uncomfortableness in the body and a sort of a pain and a dullness in the solar plexus area in the middle of the back, kind of resonating with the pain that was being expressed in the talks. The fear of future is there. Just you were speaking with Bianca about future and pain and fear. Starting a new job in a couple of weeks, and the fear that I won't be able to do it, I'll be useless, that I can't do this anymore. I've lost something, and I won't be able to work. I haven't worked since September last year. Feels like I've been doing a lot of this spiritual work, and it's not like I feel like there's a lot of progress, but it does feel like stuff is a little different. Yet I'm about to jump in back into the world of work and getting busy. And at a time, I feel like maybe I'm not cut out for that anymore.
Yeah, I can kind of get along with that one. I hate the idea of having a full-time job again. I don't know how I ever had time for one. Being retired is extremely busy.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah, when you're off, you think, God, when would I find time to work?
But you've also been recovering from something physical. Did you hurt yourself somewhere?
No, the last job was really stressful and didn't work out. And then I had, at Christmas, I had a couple of episodes of AFib in the heart.
Oh, okay.
A regular. And
Yeah.
that
My
all
wife
turned out
has
to be,
that. Yeah.
but it was only short term. Like it turned out to be nothing. They got it checked, and it went away after the 3 times. It was very much uh, stress related, burnout related. I think Probably attached to that fear of that sense of failure, and family comes up, and one of the ladies earlier on were talking about the brother that died, and I have a brother that died nearly 20 years ago now, and my other brother's kind of an alcoholic and a drug taker, and isn't in a good place, and the fear that he'd die too, and that kind of came up earlier. I think there's kind of deep pain and shame around all this. Then kind of what Bianca was saying again, what's the point? Like that feeling of unpleasantness, or that sensation. For me lately, it's just a sensation in the being, in the body, it's just squirminess or an unease in the body. I feel like it's torturous in a way.
Torture because of the intensity of it, or the endlessness of it, or something else?
More the endlessness of the. Like I've been putting attention on it the whole time I came on, listening to other people, because it's like it was resonating with what they were saying. It's kind of feel pointless to me.
Pointless as in meaninglessness, absence of purpose.
Definitely, yeah. Concerned that the future won't improve anything. I know I'm hanging it on the job that if that doesn't go well, then I'm really fucked. That sense of failure to provide as a father, and the ideas of how my life would go, and to watch all that sort of fall away.
So what's the worst case scenario? What happens when you're really fucked?
I think the worst case would be have no money to support family, and then not holding up your part of the social contract or the family contract, and the repercussions in terms of relationships around that. And the concern around kind of failing in the world of work and what that will do to me as a person.
But can you imagine yourself as an abject failure, a total failure, absolutely no no value in you whatsoever, to your family, to society, to yourself, nothing. You're just a complete and total failure. Can you imagine that?
I feel I can get close to imagining, yeah.
Can you describe it?
Well, when I was trying to imagine it, all I was doing was going to the sensation of uncomfortableness in the body or in the solar plexus. But I like to go into my head now, and
Yeah, let it exist in your head. Just describe this fantasy. I mean, you're not that at the moment, are you? But just that is your fear. But let's flesh it out and make it as real as possible. What would it be like? Would you be homeless? Would you be dirty, wearing tattered clothes, homeless, an alcoholic, drinking, taking drugs, whatever? Just, your glasses would have one lens broken in it and the other one would be all dirty. And would even a dog befriend you in that state?
um, I don't know if I like. I don't imagine myself being homeless. Just imagine myself having very limited means and living off the state and not being able to provide adequately for the children,
Mm,
um, for education and support as they grow
yeah.
into young adulthood. Um,
But what if your kids and your wife all stood up and said, you're hopeless, you're just not worth anything, you're no good to us, get out, even.
yeah, well, there could be a relationship breakdown, and even not necessarily saying that, but feeling it and covering it up with, support and, something to turn up. It's more I feel like my mind doesn't work the same way as it used to. It feels slower, it feels a little bit more stupid. Less sharp. Um, and I try to kind of get fitter and sharper and, try to lose a bit of weight and be more healthy and all that kind of stuff. And it just isn't working, or it's not happening.
But you take a lot more care of your hair than I do. It's always neatly brushed.
Well, it was in a ball before I came on this morning, so I just brushed it to look some way presentable.
Oh, so how you look is important, eh? So you do care.
Um, oh, I do care, yeah. Uses I care a lot about lots of things, like, so it's not.
So it occurs to me a really good exercise for you would be to write a horror story, so to speak. Just take all of your little fears and big fears and exaggerate them and make them really, really big and stark. Right? Pretend you're a scriptwriter for a movie or something, and you're wanting to write right from the perspective of Dennis, the consequences of getting as bad as it could possibly be. Exaggerate the hell out of it. So just really don't even try and stay realistic about it. Just really, really push the boundaries of how bad it could be as an exercise to put things in perspective for you. That's what will happen when you do that. I mean, not
What do you
only
mean?
do go on.
I was just saying, what do you mean put things in perspective?
Oh, don't worry about that. That's something that will happen as a side effect. Now, the idea is for you to
Imagine the worst.
imagine the worst. Yeah, yeah, but write it down, right? Like just even if you just make a list of all of the characteristics of it, but really, really exaggerate it.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, just
the
like we're,
unexamined things in this that have power. Once we examine them, it changes. Yeah, but don't
suppose
worry about that
the
either.
world,
Just do the job. Yeah.
yeah, the world of work. I just realized that working and having a job is such a huge part of the identity.
Mm. So not only will you not wake up in this fantasy, but your mind will stop working properly. It'll be blurred. You'll probably get into drugs and alcohol and smoke cigarettes and do all of the things that'll make you really, really totally incompetent to do anything. You won't bother to look after yourself anymore. You won't bother to shower. You won't bother to comb your hair. You just really, really play it up, exaggerate it as much as you can imagine that might happen if everything went to shit really bad. If everything went really bad. Let's say you start off by going to this job, and not only do you find that you're no good at it, but that they keep telling you that you're no good at it and sack you fairly quickly because you're not only no good at it, but you're bloody useless at anything. And then you come home to your wife and she says, well, I've had enough of this. If you can't keep a job down, you're out. And your kids are saying, we don't respect you anymore, Dad. You're hopeless. You're useless. And your dog won't even come near you because you smell funny.
Hmm.
You're writing it for him, Vince.
Yeah, it just feels like complete failure. That's what you're pointing at.
Yeah, complete, total and utterly complete. Yeah, yeah. And you can make little notes on the back of the paper when you do this list or write this story or whatever. Make little notes about any realizations that happen as you're doing it. Just see what happens. Just an experiment. Anyway, in order not to be useless, I'm going to go and cook my wife tea now. So she told me, she said, I've been cooking for 55 years. It's your turn now. And that was a year ago. So I'm learning how to do it. She keeps telling me how useless I am at it because I keep getting it wrong, but I'm getting there. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. See you, Vince. See you, Bianca.
Okay.
See you, Dennis.
See you
Oh,
guys.
before you
Thank
go,
you.
Tyler, tell me, what country are you in?
Singapore.
Singapore. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't nail down your accent. You know, it's kind of a little bit American or some part of America, but yeah. Yeah. Singapore, eh? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. All
Okay.
right. See you later.
Bye bye, guys.